We are Maria
and Nicole. We're two secular homeschooling moms that have
been there, done that. A lot of people, even some who have enjoyed homeschooling for elementary and middle school, believe that public school is the only place for teens to find social opportunities. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Today, in episode 45, we're going to be talking about high school socialization. We're going to discuss strategies to help your teenager find meaningful friendships, navigate dating, and empower them with socialization skills as they mature into young adults.
This is the 8th episode in our high school series, and if you haven't checked out the first 7 episodes of this series, be sure to visit our website. We kick it off by helping you create your 4-year plan for high school. We talk about testing, advanced courses, documentation, applying to colleges, extracurricular and volunteering, and much, much more.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of free resources you can download, including our free transcript templates. We have 2 templates to choose from, one in Excel and one in Word. And also be sure to download this week's free resource that will complement today's episode.
And as usual, we want to stress that our podcast is an inclusive space for your everyday parents that are looking for education options. We are not here to convince you to homeschool. We want to stress that you need to do what works for your child and for your family.
Every family's different.
Absolutely. And you know your children best. So feel free to take what advice or information you get from here that works for you and chuck the rest.
Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Maria. How's it going?
It's going great. What's up with you?
We're back to school officially. You know, I was gone for the weekend to move Jane into her apartment at college, and I flew back Monday morning and boom, took Jill to her first class, and we're raring to go.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and they changed the system now at the college, so now we have to learn an entirely new system.
Oh my gosh.
They
yeah,
keep
that part's
changing everything.
That part's a little bit hard, but it's coming along, and our little BTDT babies got together on campus and took a picture for us, which was sweet.
How cute. I was digging through all my photos to find one that was kind of the same angle as the two of them. I think we had just come back from a symphony performance, and we're having lunch
it might be
in
a
Dallas.
Holiday thing, too. They're dressed in red. They look super cute. I don't know, but adorable. They're so cute.
They're
so cute.
I love that they saw each other on campus and threw us that picture.
Yeah, that was very, very sweet.
Yeah.
So is Cameron enjoying his classes too?
He is. Yeah, he's really excited. His professors are so good. I love them.
Jillian came home just raving about, like, especially her speech professor. She was like, he was such a cool guy, and went through, like, all the things that he's done and accomplished. He's got 3 degrees and a bunch of licenses. He just sounds like a neat guy. So I'm excited that they're excited.
Yeah. One of the things that happened is kind of weird is he went and befriended his professor, one of his professors, and he walked him to the parking lot, and they were chatting by the car, and he left. Well, guess what? The next day, he sent a message to all the students that he had to cancel class because he hung out outside that day. He got heat stroke and he had to be hospitalized.
Oh, my word.
And Cameron, I was like, oh my gosh, you're killing your professor.
Cameron, did you cause your professor to have a heat stroke?
He looked at me like I was crazy. I felt bad I said that. I'm like, too soon? He said, yeah, probably too soon, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
He's hydrated now and he's going to be okay. But yeah, I just booked an Airbnb. I bought Cameron for his 16th birthday. This is my last baby. It's a big deal. I saved up for like 2 years for this trip. I'm taking him to see John Mayer in Florida.
Oh, how fun.
Right. We're pulling out of classes next month and we're just going to hit the beach. I actually booked a place right on the beach.
Oh my gosh, what a great time. And I know he loves John Mayer because he always puts it on it when he rides in my car.
Yeah, and I've never really listened to much John Mayer, and then I've fallen in love with him. So I'm equally as excited about this concert. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Do you know, I was in an Uber at 4 a.m. on Monday coming back, and my Uber driver and I were talking about different concerts and everything, and he goes, hey, who's the guy that sleeps with everybody? And I was like, John Mayer. Oh my God. And he was like, that's the one. So don't tell Cameron that.
He probably already knows that. He knows more about John than I do.
Taylor Swift sang about it. Everybody knows.
He's so talented. So I'm super excited to see the concert.
It's going to be great. He's going to have such a great time, and his friends are going to be so jealous when they see this trip being posted about on his social media. But, so speaking of friendships, during the teen years, friendships become very important, and our children are growing in their understanding of the world and where they fit in. But we don't need to fear that our teens will be limited socially by being schooled at home during these years. That's really short range thinking.
Yeah, for sure. The social possibilities for homeschoolers are really endless. All it takes is a bit of creativity and willingness to make it happen.
And socialization, friendships, and dating are such important roles in the whole holistic development of high schoolers. And this holds true for homeschooled students as much as their traditionally schooled counterparts.
Yeah, and these aspects of teenage life are not merely about having fun and passing the time, they're really essential for emotional, social, and psychological growth. While homeschooling provides many advantages, such as personalized education and flexible schedules that we talk all the time about, it can sometimes present challenges when it comes to social interactions for some people.
Recognizing the significance of nurturing meaningful friendships and exploring healthy dating relationships can really empower homeschooled high schoolers to build vital life skills, emotional resilience, and a strong sense of identity as they transition into adulthood. In this episode, we will talk about how much time my high schooler should spend with friends, what can I do to help my high schooler develop meaningful friendships, and whether or not your high schooler should date. So let's jump right in. How much time should my high schooler spend with friends?
Well, the amount of time that they spend with friends can vary greatly depending on their individual personality, their needs, and their commitments. Not every child has the same need for interactions, and the same goes for the parents. If you're an introvert and your child is not, you're going to have to make some effort to facilitate social interactions for your child, and that may mean stepping way out of your comfort zone.
And I'd also consider your family dynamic. For a lot of high school, until at least one of my kids got a driver's license, I felt like I was often a full-time professional driver. And I was constantly just moving kids from one activity to another. So if you've got more than one child, or those of varying ages and interests, this sometimes requires some massive scheduling on your part.
And don't forget the importance of family time in all of this. It's essential for your child to maintain a connection with the family unit. Consider setting aside specific times for your family activities and bonding. One of the things that we love to do together is cook and listen to music or play board games. And when my kids were younger, we always had a big family movie night and typically involved sushi. So we would call it a sushi party night.
Yum.
And we would make homemade popcorn for the second half of the movie. But as my kids got older, I realized that my oldest, my daughter, she really didn't like movies very much anymore. She really prefers to read. So I had to get creative with her. My son and I would watch a show together. We would watch 1 or 2 episodes a week for our time, but my daughter's time was spent we would sit and chat, usually about cars and motorcycles. My kids love to spend time together also. They would head to coffee shops or they just text each other silly memes now that my daughter's in college.
Yeah, I also have kids that are really close, and sometimes they're perfectly fine just hanging out with each other. Like, they don't need me. This kind of got to be hard, though, on my third when her siblings went off to college. I had to work really hard to kind of curate a schedule for her that included lots of friend time, in addition to school and activities, which was something I had not really had to do before. We were always such a unit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and it's a complete family shift whenever the oldest goes to college. It's kind of sad for everybody, but we're happy for them, though.
We are.
And high school students, they're going to have academic responsibilities that should be a priority, especially if they're college bound. So encourage your teenager to establish a balance between schoolwork and socializing. We do that for them when they are younger, but as they get older, we're handing off the torch as we guide them to manage themselves. Luckily, as homeschoolers, we do have the flexibility of setting our own schedules, so social activities don't have to be limited to weekends or just evenings. This can get a little trickier if they have friends that are in public school or have a rigorous academic schedule themselves.
Right, we love that homeschool flexibility of schedule we talk about often. And, for years, we loved having something fun on Fridays, like a park day or a game club, like a field trip with friends or some other group activity. This gave us an incentive to stay on track academically through the week, and it kind of offered us a reward for getting our work done.
Yeah, we love Friday afternoon social time. And if your child is involved in extracurricular activities like sports or clubs or theater or music groups, they may naturally spend more time with friends during these activities. This is great because it combines socializing along with their personal interests. And my son is very active in our local theater, and even though he's with some of his best friends during rehearsals, he often wants to have non structured hangout time with them afterwards. So we try to allow time for that to happen by making sure he has his schoolwork done before he even heads to rehearsal.
Right. There was a poll I saw online on a Facebook homeschool group recently that was asking how much time high schoolers spend with friends outside of extracurricular activities. And it made me realize that my kids didn't do a ton of just hanging out, at least not in person. We are in a lot of activities, often with the same group of friends. So we see them really often. And they also game online at night.
Yeah, my kids do like to hang out online, but they are opposite in that they really do want to hang out with friends every day, my son more than my daughter. So socializing needs will vary from kid to kid. As your child gets older, they may naturally want more independence and private time with friends, and it's essential to strike a balance between allowing them this independence and ensuring that they still meet their responsibilities and their obligations for school and at home.
Right. And you really want to make sure that you maintain open communication with your high schooler about their social life. Encourage them to share their plans and needs with you, and just be willing to listen if they have concerns or questions about how much time they should spend or want to spend with their friends.
Yeah, there are definitely times when we feel overscheduled and over socialized, and we have had to dial everything back in. And then there were times when we felt the opposite. High school gets tricky because a lot of kids have fine tuned their interests. Everyone is going different directions and doing different times of schooling or classes. And sometimes you may even stop seeing some of your best friends due to opposite schedules and activities, or if they've chosen to go to public school at this point. When that's been the case, I have always encouraged my kids to try to schedule time to hang out with those friends, but to also open the door to new friendships. You really never know when you're going to meet your new best friend. And that happens to everyone, even us as adults. Friendships come in and go out of our lives all the time. There's like a constant movement.
Absolutely. And I mean, gone are those days of the easy park days where you just show up. Sometimes you really have to make an effort to plan things and stay on top of schedules to ensure that it happens. And if your kids can't or don't want to do that, you might have to do that for them.
Yeah, that's so true. You really want to ensure that the time spent with friends is healthy and positive. Know the company that your child keeps and discuss any concerns you may have regarding peer pressure, negative influences, or unsafe behaviors. Take an active role in meeting their friends and chatting with them or their parents. Keep an open dialogue with your kids. And they're starting to branch out and spend less time with family and more time with friends. One of my favorite things about homeschooling is establishing a strong bond from an early age, so we have an open dialogue. You guys would be shocked at some of the things that my teenager tells me. Sometimes I really have to bite my tongue and not lecture in those moments. You want them to feel safe telling you things.
Oh, I totally agree. It's also more important for your high schooler to have a few close, meaningful friendships than to be constantly surrounded by gads and gads of friends. Encourage them to focus on nurturing these deep connections. We always try to stress quality over quantity.
Oh my gosh, yes, for sure. You also need to make sure your child understands the importance of safety and setting boundaries in those social interactions, both online and offline. Teach them to make responsible decisions about where and with whom they spend their time.
And this is especially important for kids who spend a lot of time online. We try to talk a lot about not oversharing information, being cautious of potential scammers and fake people, and, just guarding your online interactions in general.
Yeah, and this touches back on last week's episode when we talked about honing in your critical thinking skills. It's not just for the parents. We have a responsibility to teach our kids to think critically. Teaching them online safety can sometimes be especially hard for us because our kids usually know way more about tech and online things than we do.
Yeah.
So do your best to stay current so that you can discuss this stuff with your kids.
And pay attention to your child's well-being. If they seem overwhelmed, stressed, or exhausted from socializing, it might be a sign that they need to scale back and prioritize some self-care.
Yes, I talk to my son all the time about stress management, nutrition, hydration, and I also make him work out every single day for a minimum of 30 minutes. I explained in the beginning of the semester when we laid out the expectations, I said this is an expected thing, and it's really for him, not only for his health, but to manage his stress. And also, if they seem lonely, down, or moody, you definitely want to address that and do what you can to help them. Some of these highs and lows are completely normal with teenagers as they feel all the feels, but pay attention when things seem off more than normal. Even though they're older, they often need guidance navigating relationships and activities, and there's nothing wrong with getting the ball rolling and then giving them a gentle push. A lot of these teenagers look like adults, and sometimes they even behave like adults, but I can assure you that they are absolutely not adults. They still need your guidance and love, and sometimes even more than when they were little.
Exactly. If your teen is new to homeschooling and maybe came out of a difficult school situation due to bullying or negative social interactions, this is even more important and can be a huge adjustment. So just keep trying and do what you can to assist them.
Yeah, and lastly, remember that every teenager is going to be different. Some may be more introverted and prefer less social interaction, while others may be extroverted and thrive on frequent social contact. Respect your child's personality and adjust expectations accordingly. Again, this is one of the many advantages of homeschooling, that we can customize our approach to socializing just like we can academics.
Right, and ultimately the amount of time that your high schooler spends with friends should align with their personal needs and interests. It's important to maintain a healthy balance between socialization, academics, extracurricular activities, and family time, while allowing your child to develop those social skills and connections that are so important for their well-being. So just a reminder that this is a weekly episode. We drop one every Thursday morning just for you. And if you have any additional ideas or comments, please come and comment on our Facebook page, on the episode thread, or send us an email at info@btdthomeschool.com. We'd really love to hear from you. So what can I do to help my high schooler develop meaningful friendships?
Helping them develop meaningful friendships is important for their social and emotional development. But where do you even begin finding friends and developing these relationships? Like we mentioned before, high school can get tricky, even if you aren't new to homeschooling, because kids tend to split at this age. Their interests are more fine-tuned, they may be involved more heavily into other groups and activities, and their time is precious too.
Right. Look for local homeschooling groups or co-ops where your high schooler can meet other homeschooled students. These groups often organize activities and classes and events that provide opportunities for social interaction. Even if you've been involved in a group for a long time, you might want to consider branching out to other groups and seeing what else is out there. Like, we personally belong to a lot of groups. I know you do too. And they all kind of have a different dynamic and vibe and bring something else to the table.
Right. You want to encourage your child to participate in extracurricular activities. You can do sports teams, music groups, art classes, and community service clubs. Not only are these essential for just being a well-rounded person, these activities can help them meet like-minded peers who share their interests. In our high school extracurricular and volunteering episode, I created an entire workbook that is going to help your teenager find activities that they will love. You can download it for free on our website. I listed over 100 activities categorized by type. They're going to find something that they love, and bonus, it's a place to meet new friends.
In today's digital age, online friendships can be just as meaningful as in-person ones. I've talked before about how I have really great friends online that I've never met in person, but I still see a lot of parents who really limit online interaction and are very strict about kids not having phones and social media, etc. And it's important to find a balance there.
Yeah, and while you do want to make sure your child is protected, technology is our future, and kids are going to find a way to it eventually, with or without your blessing. Ensure your child has access to safe online communities, forums, or social media groups where they can connect with other homeschoolers or friends who share their hobbies and their interests. One service that I've used for years is called Custodio, and when my kids first got devices, probably around middle school age, I really struggled with online safety and protection, and I eventually found this great tool, and it allows me to monitor apps and websites from my phone. I can even see what websites that they visit and block sites if I need to. As they've gotten older, I've dialed back the monitoring as they've learned online safety, but if you're struggling with this, I would highly recommend this product. I'll link it in the show notes. I first checked out the Disney Circle, but I wasn't too keen on that because that was only effective if they were in your house on your Wi-Fi. And this is attached to their computer, their phone, their tablet. I just assign a device to each kid, and then I can turn off that kid completely from accessing anything from my device. Sometimes when they would sneak into the bathroom during school and all of a sudden it's been like half an hour and I haven't seen them, I can see on my phone. I'm like, hey, you're on YouTube in there.
Oh, busted.
Yeah.
Busted in the bathroom. So engaging in volunteer work is another great opportunity. We talked about our volunteering episode a couple of weeks ago. It not only allows your child to give back to the community, but offers more chances to meet people who share their passion for making a difference. And we also really liked Scouts for this, scouting. It's great for kids who want organized opportunities with a lot of fun and, group activities. They're often child-led as well, so they can really pick what they want to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of volunteering ideas in that workbook, so I'll link it in the show notes if you want to download that. You can also look for local classes or workshops related to your child's interests or hobbies. This can be anything from dance classes to coding workshops. Your local rec center is a great resource for this, as well as your local library. We talk about libraries all the time. I'd even check outside of your immediate area. If you're in a suburb, check the surrounding areas. Library classes and activities are typically free, even if you don't have a library card, and a lot have reciprocal programs too. My kids have done a ton of workshops at the library, from stop motion classes to learning how to design in a 3D CAD program, and they use the 3D printer there. It's super cool.
Yeah, we've also done things like cooking classes at a local supermarket. Like Central Market a couple years ago had a Teen Around the World summer program that was just totally awesome. And woodworking classes, rec sports leagues, if your student's not like a super competitive athlete and just wants to get involved in a sport, those are great places to start.
Yeah. If your child's old enough, a part-time job is an excellent way to meet new people. Working with peers can help develop social skills and build friendships, learning how to work together cooperatively. My daughter loves her part-time job and actually was recommended by another car enthusiast to work in this race car shop. They turn up the music and they have a great time and they get paid for it. Her first job in high school was not that great. She stuffed packages in a warehouse and it was a really isolating experience. But she also realized what she didn't like. Sometimes these are great learning opportunities to help your kid figure out what they want to do and what they don't want to do.
Definitely. And everybody should have to work like a grunt job to figure that out, right?
She didn't do restaurants, though. Most of us worked in restaurants, and that gets nasty.
Yeah. You want to make sure that your child has the necessary social skills to build and maintain friendships. So, teach them effective communication and active listening and empathy and conflict resolution.
Yeah, and while it's important to support your child in building friendships, it's also crucial to respect their autonomy. Allow them to choose their friends and give them space to develop these relationships while still talking about positive interactions and safety. This can be hard for some parents. This is some of that older teenage letting go that nobody warned you about, but when you're in the thick of it, it can be really hard on us moms.
Totally hard on us moms. One challenge for homeschoolers that might do dual credit, like our kids, is that their on-campus peers are often a lot older than they are.
Yeah.
While I'm okay with them swapping numbers or meeting up on campus after class for like study-related things, I do let my kids know that they have to be upfront about the fact that they really can't socialize with these people outside of class. They're too young. Don't be thinking that you guys are going to go hang out on weekends and stuff.
Yeah, fortunately, dual enrollment is becoming more and more common, and sometimes these core classes are full of juniors and seniors in high school. Sometimes you never know. My son was on campus talking to a classmate just the other day, and she was shocked when she found out that he just turned 16.
Yep.
She was 23. Keep on moving, lady. Just do your best to keep communication lines open with your child. Encourage them to talk about their feelings and experiences and any challenges that they may be facing in the process of making friends. And like I said earlier, try to hold your tongue and not constantly dish out advice to them. You want to be that safe person.
And building meaningful relationships can take time, so be patient. Don't push your child too hard. Remind them that it is like this too. It's very normal for this process to have its ups and downs.
Yeah, and when you're a teenager, these shifts can sometimes feel very extreme, from happy to sad, and that's totally normal. Like we mentioned earlier, the quality of friendships is more important than the quantity. Encourage them to focus on building deep, meaningful connections with a few individuals rather than trying to be friends with everyone. Building friendships is a skill and it takes time and practice, so continue to provide support and guidance. And after you finish listening to this episode, be sure to visit our website. We're going to write up all of the show notes and have links to everything that we're talking about, so it's just really easy for you to access and reference. Every week, I like to create free resources that complement that episode, so be sure to sign up to our newsletter so you don't miss any of that exclusive content. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, we would love it if you went out there and gave us a thumbs up or even comment on the episode thread. So, should your high schooler date?
Well, deciding whether or not your high schooler should date is a personal and often complex decision that's going to depend on various factors. It's going to include your child's maturity level, values, and your family's beliefs and guidelines.
You really want to assess their emotional and social maturity. Are they capable of handling the responsibilities and potential challenges that come with dating, like communication, compromise, and understanding boundaries? I would encourage you to sit down and have an open and honest conversation about dating. Ask them about their thoughts and feelings regarding dating and really listen to them. In a couple of years, they're going to be 18 and they're going to be off doing their thing without consulting with you. So use this time to help them and influence them in a positive way.
And as your teen grows, you can be there to help them work through difficult situations or challenges. Talking to them about relationships and consent will help them to understand how to take care of themselves and others. Remember that your child may not always feel like talking or opening up, so you need to be patient and make sure that they know that they can speak to you about anything.
Yeah, mentioning consent always makes me laugh because I always think about Sheldon and Amy's relationship agreement in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
It's so funny when he draws up a contract about when they can and when they can't hold hands, or that short video about tea and consent when somebody changes their mind about having tea.
I love that one.
I will link them in the show notes so
They're
people
great.
if you haven't seen them. So give your child some examples of healthy and unhealthy behaviors. You can watch these videos with them.
Yeah.
It's hysterical, but it's a serious topic that needs to be addressed.
Right. You want to chat with them about how consent comes across in words and body language. If someone seems uncomfortable with something or says no, it's really important to listen.
Yeah, and discuss with them what a healthy relationship is. It's when both people are caring and considerate and kind and encouraging.
And you want to teach them about red flags in a relationship, like controlling behavior, isolating the other person. They may discourage them from seeing friends. Passive aggressive, unkind, self-centered, not considering the other's needs.
Yeah, talk to them about respect, speak about gender equality and spotting sexual harassment. It's our job to educate our kids well beyond academics. These are conversations that should be happening from when they were young, but if they weren't, start today. This goes well beyond dating. These are things that teach them about respecting others and themselves.
And encourage your kids to share their concerns and questions about dating. This age range can vary greatly. I remember my parents had a very arbitrary age for me to start dating. You can't date till you're 16. And of course, it was totally different for my younger brother. And this was dictated to me very young, like it was going to be this milestone. But we personally opted not to do this with our kids and just kind of take it on a case-by-case basis with all of them. They all had different maturity at different ages.
Yeah, there really wasn't an age for me to start dating. I matured really quickly physically, and I was also the youngest, so emotionally too. And I had a long-term boyfriend already when I was only 15 years old.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, my parents never talked to me about dating, but fortunately, I did have older siblings that helped guide me, mostly positive, but not always. But that was a different time, and we are creating relationships with our kids that we didn't have with our parents growing up. It's just a different era completely.
Yeah.
Consider your family's values and beliefs regarding dating and relationships. Different families have different approaches, and it's important to align your decision on dating with your family's values.
And throughout the years, you're really going to want to encourage openness and communication, like we keep stressing, so that you can really make sure that your high schooler understands the principles of healthy relationships. Respect, communication, consent, setting boundaries, all those things that we've been talking about here are really important. And you can provide guidance on recognizing and avoiding unhealthy or abusive relationships.
Be aware of potential peer pressure or external influences that might be motivating your child to date. Encourage them to make decisions based on their own feelings and values, not solely to fit in or meet others' expectations. I find this is one of the coolest things about homeschooling. Our kids haven't really had to succumb to peer pressure like some kids that might be in public school.
Right.
From early on, they were encouraged to have a voice and be heard. And I think that carries through not only in their teen years, but for the rest of their lives.
Oh, for sure. And if you do decide to allow dating, set age-appropriate boundaries and rules. Depending on your child's age and your comfort level, you might choose to supervise their early dating experiences a little bit more closely. And these could include having curfews or only allowing group dates or having guidelines for physical affection. And be really clear about your expectations.
Yeah, and these can be things like no closed doors when in bedrooms or not being at someone's house when parents aren't home. We have a friend who has a rule about dates in the car. As they demonstrate responsibility and maturity, you can grant more independence.
Emphasize the importance of maintaining a balance between dating, academics, extracurricular activities, and family commitments. Ensure that dating doesn't interfere with their responsibilities. Some parents had a rule that maybe you can't go out on a date every day of the weekend. Like you could do a Friday night, maybe a Sunday afternoon, but you can't do Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, and of course, if those grades slip, you're going to be looking at some time limits too. I'm not a big fan of grades, but once you hit the high school years, those transcripts are really going to matter, especially if they're college bound.
Right, and if they're dual credit, those are permanent grades there. So yeah, they definitely want to stay on top of their schoolwork and academic responsibilities. And this is probably the most important thing. Discuss the importance of consent and safety in relationships.
Absolutely. And you want to model healthy relationships and communication within your own family. Your child will learn a lot about relationships by observing how you and your partner interact.
And sometimes focusing on building strong friendships during high school can be a more suitable approach for teenagers who are not yet ready for dating. You know, we often say, like, date your best friend. You have to be friends first before you start dating.
Right. Ultimately, the decision to allow your high schooler to date should be based on their individual readiness and your family's values. Keep in mind that every teenager is different and what works for one may not work for another. It's crucial to maintain open communication with your child. Listen to their concerns and provide guidance and support as they navigate the complexities of dating and relationships.
Tune in next week when we cover 12 ways to balance your home and homeschool. I'm excited about that one.
I am too. You know, this is one of my biggest struggles is finding balance between all the things.
Yes, but I actually have a lot of ideas for it that I can give to other people. I just don't always take them myself.
Well, we do. We find balance, but then something happens and then they shift. And so our responsibility, sometimes it's working out and schooling. Sometimes it's keeping a clean house and having a happy kid.
Yeah, I need a clean house.
So we're going to talk about all that and more next week.
And more. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Be sure to check us out on our website at btdthomeschool.com, as in been there, done that, btdthomeschool.com. You can join our mailing list and get news and updates on future podcasts, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at the BTDT Been There Done That Homeschool Podcast.